Welcome back. And you probably didn't guess it, but I just saw The Beekeeper. You're probably asking yourself, what's The Beekeeper? All I knew before seeing it was it had Jason Statham in it and was therefore probably an action movie. And there was also probably some bees. Turns out I was right. What did I think of it? Well, definitely better than John Wick 4. Unpopular opinion, I thought John Wick 4 was very overrated. I used to go to the theaters once or twice a week. Then they told me, hey, we need you to select a seat. And I'm like, okay, sounds good. I'm not coming back for a decade.
You're sick, twisted. How can you say that?
I'd heard so many good things about John Wick 4 from people I trusted, so I finally went back to the theater and saw it. Wow, were the fight scenes way too drawn out. It was all just holding up the bulletproof jacket and like shooting like that at the other person holding up their jacket, shooting like that, and then they do a little like UFC rolling on the ground for a little while and then repeat over and over and over and over and over and over and over.
You're out of your goddamn mind.
And then we get to like the stair fight scene. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. And then he gets knocked down all the stairs and we do it again.
Yes, it goes on and on, my friend.
Like story and stuff to it, but oh my god, the fight scenes are way too drawn out. This, The Beekeeper, bit more of a normal action movie with normal length fight scenes. I only saw John Wick 4 the once. I'd probably currently give it about a 6 out of 10. Haven't seen the first one in a long time, but I remember really enjoying it. Probably would give that one about an 8 out of 10. I'm giving The Beekeeper a 7 out of 10, so somewhere between John Wick 1 and John Wick 4. Action was good, nothing too crazy or super interesting, but just the right amount. Really enjoyed it, whereas John Wick 4, they went crazy on the action and it ended up being too much for me.
Pathetic psychopath.
It just was too unbelievable at so many points. Like, someone just shoot the guy. What's going on? There's probably only about 2 or 3 moments in this where I was just like, that's just too unrealistic. Come on, someone would have gotten them. Pretty decent story. I'd say that's something that John Wick 4 has it beat on. They did a lot with the beekeeper and bee analogies, and it actually worked pretty well when it wasn't really heavy-handed. Camera work was pretty darn good. Some good establishing shots, lots of smoke and lights. You got the set pieces with lots of neon. You got the set piece that's just in a grungy, dark little facility warehouse. I now realize no car chases, about 50-50 shooting and hand-to-hand combat, and just enough cool action moves and deaths to, keep you interested. But they didn't go on and on and on and on like John Wick 4.
You're gonna die alone. A nobody.
Plenty of locations. John Wick 4 also had quite a few locations. I think they did a pretty good job with it in Beekeeper as well. Not a particularly woke message or story, but oh my god, the DEI and the casting was insane. It was noticeable to the point where in the rest of my review I'll be referring to the FBI as the DEI. I'd say this is a theater or streaming situation. It was created by MGM Studios, which is Amazon now, and Miramax, so my guess is it'll probably be on Amazon Prime. You got Amazon Prime? I would say, just probably wait for that. If you don't have Amazon Prime and you're interested in this, go see it at the theater. Would I recommend it to my boomer parents? Probably not. Bit too much violence. Starts with an opening credit, no cold open. Pretty artsy, quite interesting. Lots of bee stuff, lots of geometric stuff. Quite cool, but also looked exactly like something I would get off of my stock website for an After Effects, like pre-made preset sort of thing. Something I use quite often in my earlier documentaries. Ooh, that's a bit more artsy than I was expecting. Nothing else artsy in the rest of the movie. Starts with Jason Statham removing a wasp nest. Old black lady who owns the land and house where he happens to have his little beekeeping facility, and comes up, talks to him, asks him, what's going on, thanks him for everything he's been doing around the place, and asks him to come for dinner. And he really, really appreciates that. Says, no one's ever taken care of me before. So finally, he had a nice old black lady who was sweet to him, and he's someone who's never really had that, so he really appreciates it. And it's Jason Statham, so I would recommend not screwing over the old black lady. And the old black lady gets a virus little scam pop-up that says, oh, you've got a virus, you better call this number. Classic old people not understanding technology scam, which is actually what most of this movie is about. So when crime got bad in the 80s, we got all those sorts of vigilante movies. People feel like there's no one standing up for them, feel like the police aren't doing anything, feel like crime's out of control. That's when vigilante movies get popular. That's when everyone wants to go Dirty Harry on everybody's ass. Now we got all these Indian scam centers screwing everybody over, and people feel helpless against it. So what do we have? Dirty Harry combined with all those YouTube channels that are all about taking down the scam centers. Every which of one just happens to be run by Indians. Except not in this movie. I don't think there's a single Indian in the movie. Weird. Weird. They made sure to put every other race but Indians in. It's kinda weird. So a white Zoomer guy is running the scam center. Running the scam on this nice old black lady. Yeah. I even looked. No Indians in the call center. Definitely some Arab looking people. I have a ton of Indians that live around me. I know what they look like. I didn't see an Indian. I don't think I saw one in the whole movie. Well, except for a DEI agent who I thought was Indian, but we'll get to that later. So the scummy white Zoomer takes all of her money. And she was a sweet teacher who ran a charity even, and they stole all of the charity money. And credit to them, the scam that they used was the same thing actual scammers use. So I actually do appreciate that. There's going to be a few more older people who will see this and be a little bit more wary. So credit there. If anyone wants to control your desktop remotely, hang up the phone, stop emailing them. If someone's like, oh, there was a mistake, I need you to send me money back, or, oh, I'm a Nigerian prince, I just need a little bit of money so I can get lots of money to give to you. Oh, if you just send me 1 Bitcoin, I'll send you back 3 Bitcoins. So Jason Statham comes over for dinner and, something's weird. Old lady's car's here, but she's not answering the door. Opens it, there's smoke. The food was burning. Weird. Grabs a knife because he thinks something's up. And what do we see? Oh no, some blood and a gun. And then chubby black lady with an afro comes up behind him. Put your hands behind your back, she. And of course, she's an FBI agent, which I will now refer to from here on out as a DEI agent. And no, not quite like Peacemaker levels of chubby, but like thick. Afro though, probably about yay big on the afro. What's her name? No idea. I had to look it up. At one point, she gets called V, and I'm like, oh, what? Her name starts with V? What? I had to look it up. Her name's Verona, apparently. I don't think it's said a single time. In my notes, I just wrote her down as diversity agent. And then as writing this, I realized DEI agent actually worked quite well. So from here on out, she is the DEI agent. She assumes Adam was a criminal. Evil white man, I'm gonna assume he's a criminal. To be fair, he was holding a knife, so... But it turns out the sweet old black lady had Minecrafted herself. And the sweet old lady was the DEI agent's mom. Let's ignore the big white dude in her house with a knife. And then when it turned out it wasn't him, she made sure she came and apologized for assuming it was him. You know, like cops should do to the didn't do nothing crowd. And yes, I'm talking about the 8 to 10 foot aliens. Jason Statham says stealing from an old person is as bad as stealing from a child. I actually had some really good stuff with that. Wanted to protect the innocent, the defenseless. A little bit of more of that. They did quite a bit of it, just a little bit more. We could have maybe gotten that up to a 7.5. Talks about how it's hard that once you get older, you're alone. You're no longer a part of the hive. You don't have people there for you anymore. As we find out, that's sort of also his situation. It worked really well. I was kind of surprised. All of the B stuff that wasn't too heavy-handed, some of the best stuff. And he finally felt like the old black lady had finally brought him back into a hive. And then some people took her from him. And it's Jason Statham, who has a certain set of skills. So he contacts his old crew, super secret crew. And the person who answers, I'm pretty sure, was Indian-ish woman, Indian adjacent at least, and a blonde bimbo. DEI is a hell of a drug. So Jason Statham goes and finds the scam center, and he's holding 2 gas cans, and security's like, you're not gonna be coming in here. He's like, well, I'm here to burn the place down, so it's happening, guys. And he tells either them or the receptionist that they are scamming the weakest in our society. All that standing up for the little guy, protecting the weak. Exactly the sort of thing, we need these days. We want those vigilantes standing up for us. Hate to tell you guys, though, no one's coming to save us. We are the ones coming to save us. We are the ones who have to go Jason Statham all about his ass. Peacefully, of course. The gas cans we hold are folders filled with memes. He just walks right into the call center and says, repeat this. Repeat after me. I will never steal from the weak and vulnerable again. No one responds, so he beats someone down. And he asks them to repeat again. And of course, this time they do. And then he starts pouring gas all over the computers, and anyone who didn't move just pours it right on them as well. He says, I'm a beekeeper. I protect the hive. Yes. And the white Zoomer bro running the call center gets to him. Of course, he's like sniveling, like, hey, don't hurt me. And Jason Statham sets up a bomb to go off when the next person calls the scam center. Kablooey! We cut to Danforth Enterprises. We got a Zoomer big tech douche, Derek Danforth, which is played by Josh Hutcherson, who I thought did a pretty darn good job. He's skateboarding through the office. There's sushi, massage girls, a Tibetan singing bowl. And Derek gets a call about the incident at the call center. So he asks his security guy, the former head of the CIA, Wallace, played by Jeremy Irons, played quite well by Jeremy Irons, for help with the situation. But he says he won't help with Derek's metaverse meth lab. With all the tech bro stuff, they were way too heavy-handed. Metaverse, that's one of the things. Metaverse. More on it later. There's plenty. So then an Indian FBI agent joins with the DEI agent. Finally, an Indian. Just kidding. Turns out the actor is actually Iranian.
Well, to be fair...
Oh, don't say to be fair. Hate when people say to be fair.
But like I've said, I know what Indian people look like. He looks just like an Indian person. So it turns out they're partners. They're all teamed up. From here on out, we'll be calling them the diversity duo. Then it cuts to the Zoomer call center bro with his mobster thugs showing up at the Beekeeper's facility. They found him very easily, very conveniently. I can only assume he's kind of set them up. It was, I get you can't waste a bunch of time, you get right to it, but it was a little too convenient for my taste. They show up and destroy his beehives. This is basically like instead of John Wick's dog getting killed, spoiler alert, his bees get killed. But oh boy. You don't kick the hornet's nest. So after they destroy all that, you see Jason Statham walking through his facility, turning all the equipment on. And it's, wonder what he's planning to do with that. You just know we're in for some fun. And the fight scene's quite good, and it ends with him sawing the scammer's fingers off and leaving him alive for some reason. I'm not quite sure why. So he escapes and then cuts to him talking to Derek, the tech bro, when all of a sudden, punch to the face. Jason Statham's there. I don't know why he's just like, let him get away. I don't know. Scammer offers him crypto. I got NFTs, bro. I got NFTs. You want an NFT? So Jason Statham ties something around him, walks back to his truck, and sends it flying off a bridge with the scammer tied to it. It's pretty good. Jason Statham walks up, picks up the phone, and talks to Derek. I assume that's why he had left the scammer alive, to figure out who he was working for. But no, I don't think that's what it was. Like later, he does it to a different scammer guy to find out who it is. But he had them on the phone here and now. He says, "Who are you?" Like he's just gonna tell him. Response is, I'm Mr. Fudge You, that's who. Except he didn't say fudge. So finally, Wallace, the former CIA head of security guy dude, finally gets involved. Now that's more than just a metaverse meth lab. And we learn that he only took the job as a favor to the tech bro's mom. Some mysteriously powerful woman. Wonder who she could be. You figure it out about halfway through, and then start of Act 3 comes around. They do this big reveal with this big stinger sound effect. So dramatic. And it's like, bro, I figured this one out like 30 minutes ago. And Wallace uses the term sex workers. Because he can't bring up all the hookers coming through. He has to call them sex workers. Because we don't want to be disrespectful to all the whores. And this is the point that I realized they've actually been doing quite a few good establishing shots. Get the little text in the bottom telling you where it's at. And that's also when I started paying attention to more of the camera work and realized they're doing a pretty good job. They do a lot of cutting to different angles. You suddenly will have like a handheld camera. Definitely no stale shots. They did a pretty darn good job at that, but nothing super special. They didn't go full Wes Anderson on anything. But for an action movie, pretty good. And then we're back to the diversity duo at the FBI, and it turns out the Beekeeper is a ghost. And they realize he must be from some classified program. Some secret covert group. Can you guess what that group is called? Then we cut back to the CIA security guy, and apparently old tech bro Derek had called mommy, and she had a word with him. Says, okay, I'll do it. So mom's clearly a girl boss, but just how bossy of a girl boss? Oh, the bossiest. Wallace calls the CIA director, who is, you'll never guess it, a whammon. Surprise, surprise. So it turns out Jason Statham, who's been going by Adam Clay, is part of a clandestine group called, you guessed it, the Beekeepers. He retired and became a beekeeper. But it actually makes sense once we get a little bit more into it. The Wallace and the CIA or whoever are able to reach out to the Beekeepers, and they decide they're going to deal with the problem, and they put a hit out on Adam. Cut to him at a gas station, just sitting there, and the assassin rams her truck into the gas station. She gets out and has a bright pink coat and a mohawk. Like braided up to be a mohawk, not an actual official mohawk, but a mohawk. Also a minigun in the back of her truck. Decent bit of a fight, somewhat interesting, and then he hits her in the head with something and then catches her on fire. Cuts off her finger and then blows up the gas station. And after that ass whooping, turns out the Beekeepers are going to just remain neutral, which was really disappointing. I thought we were going to have a Smoking Aces type situation where just more crazier and zanier and wackier assassins just start showing up, more badass than the last. No. So it turns out that didn't work, so Wallace has to get a new team together of a bunch of special ops guys, and he gives them the talk about bees and beekeepers. Quite good. Definitely my favorite part of the movie. The beekeepers are basically there to keep the system safe, keep it working. Basically a secret part of the checks and balances of our government. And one thing the beekeepers don't do is stop working. They only stop working once they die. So, oh boy, are we in for it. And he's going to kill his way to the top of the hive. So the DEA agent had found a Beekeeping for Beekeepers book at the gas station scene. Though it was evident, she decided to just go and take it for herself for some light reading. So she starts talking about bees and beekeepers, and it's super heavy-handed. It's just, let Jeremy Irons tell us. He was doing so good, and then it cuts to diversity whammon, and all of a sudden it's just terrible. Pretty much sums up DEI pretty well. Turns out the deputy director of the DEI wants to see them. Ooh, no, they're in trouble. Cuts to Adam. He used a finger to, I assume, go to like her beekeeper base or something. Really, he's just going there to stock up on a bunch of ammo and some intel, it seemed like. Blah, 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 some more stuff and things and what have you. And then back to the diversity duo, briefing the deputy director of the DEI, who's a black woman. Just kidding. He's a black man. She says that Adam is going to attack the top scam center. The deputy diversity director doesn't seem to believe her, but gives her a SWAT team. Cut to that next scam center run by, you guessed it, not an Indian guy. I think he was Italian or something, white-ish, but really like a used car salesman from New York, that sort of vibe.
To be fair.
Well, to be fair.
SWAT team's heading in the scam center and meet the crew that Wallace just put together, and they kind of kick him out, say we're in charge here. As they're standing out front, worrying about how Adam's going to get in, Adam just walks right up to him and is like, yeah, no, there's no back entrance. If there's a back entrance, I would have gone in it. Doesn't even try to hide who he is in the slightest bit. It's actually pretty great. His ballsiness and his confidence, it works. It works well. And then they realize who he is, and he just starts whooping up on them. Good stuff. Cuts back to the scam center, and there's very, very, very briefly a potentially Indian guy, but he was probably Arab. The head scammer won't let the scammer stop working, and he kicks out the security guys. Adam's just standing there with everyone. And before the security guys walk out, one of the employees looks at him, looks at the picture of the guy who they need to watch out for, looks at him. So Adam just wrecks that guy, and all the security guys are like, oh, get him! About 20 of them shooting automatic weapons, probably like 500 bullets or so. Adam just runs. No cover whatsoever, just runs out of the room. Just fine. That was really the only / the biggest moment, or a little unrealistic there. Like just one of those 20 guys, just put where you're aiming a little bit in front of them and just keep shooting there and just let them run into the bullets. That's your special forces. There's some more butt kicking, and eventually we get the 1v1 with the head security guy. Decent bit of knives during the hand-to-hand combat stuff in this. And the diversity duo show up, and the strong whammon goes in by herself. So, come on, Wiley. Be a strong woman like me. And then we get a fantastic elevator scene I'm not even going to talk about, just see the movie. And then Adam appears back in the scam center, throws the boss through some glass, and interrogates him and finds out who his boss is. Adam shows him a picture of the nice old black lady on the phone from the beginning and says, "This is the only person who ever took care of me. This is who you're stealing money from." Yes, yes, yes. Protect the beehive. So the scammer shows him the big tech bro and says he's untouchable. To which he responds, "Nobody's untouchable." All right, so this dude's mom is clearly the bossiest of girl bosses. And at that point, you realize who she has to be. Sometimes when the hive is out of balance, you have to replace the queen. And this girl boss is the queen bee. As he's running off, the DEI agent confronts him. "We have laws for these things." "We have laws until they fail. Then you have me." Yes, for that. And the DEA agent goes down and sees who's behind the scam centers. Holy shoot! Then you definitely know who his mom is. Cuts to Wallace, the security guy for the tech bro. "Time to call your mommy. You just want to use my mom as a human shield." So he talks to his mom saying, "Oh, hey, can we come hang out with you this weekend?" And she's the Madam President. Okay, maybe it was like 15 or 20 minutes of knowing who she was before they tell you. Dun, dun, dun. Bro, we already figured it out. Back to the diversity duo in the DEI office. Why not let Clay just do his thing? These people killed your mother. I swore an oath. Or something. So the deputy director of the FBI, a black man, starts the meeting by apologizing for being late. No reason whatsoever he should have done it. They just randomly have him apologize for being late. Because apparently he's on CPT time. The DEI agent tells him that this scam center is being run by Danforth Industries. Madam President self-financed her campaign with dirty money stolen from sweet old black ladies, just like Trump did. They don't really say it, but it gave me the vibes. And then she tells him about the Queen Slayer, a bee who kills the queen when they're not producing acceptable offspring. First, he was just going for the call centers, totally not run by Indians whatsoever. But now he's coming for Madam President. Establishing shot, the last one, Danforth Estate. At this point, I wasn't bored. I wasn't waiting for things to end. Pretty happy with the pacing and action. Kept me interested. Never once did I look at my phone. Turns out that the software the tech bro had been using was actually CIA data mining software. Oopsie, just a little accidental fascism. Wallace has brought in a new security team, some smoking aces style assassin who was German, Scottish, Irish, Australian, or maybe Mexican. Not sure. And he's got a gang of ruffians with him. Yes, finally, what I'd been hoping for. Just give us one more beekeeper that he had to fight. That would have been may have made things a bit too long, but just cut out the DEI broad and just give us like one more weird assassin, preferably not a diversity assassin. Adam sneaks in all sneaky like. Madam President talks to her son and asks if his vape is nicotine. I wouldn't unless you want to talk to the machine elves. Machine elves, guys. Big tech bros, machine elves.
The machine elves.
So Madam President Danforth talks to the deputy diversity director, and learns about what's coming. So she comes and grabs her son, who's telling a cute girl, "You into crypto?" Vapes. So many vapes in this. Madam President and the deputy DEI director confront the tech bro. Turns out Madam President didn't know she was using dirty money. She's innocent. To be fair. You go, girl boss. You go. Adam at this point is just walking through the party with no disguise. It's the DEI agent see him, just nods to her. Everyone mobilizes. They have him captured outside, and the German, Australian, Irish guy is ready to finish him off, while the DEA agent wants to take him in by the book. "What are you doing? You're about to shoot him. What?" The smoking aces guy says, "To be or not to be." The movie is called The Beekeeper. A little on the nose. So Jason Statham, of course, says, "I'll take 2B with 2 E's though. Get it, beekeepers?" And blows up a bunch of cars, giving him a chance to disarm the Mexican Irish guy and whoop up on everyone. Adam's just slowly walking towards the president, calmly wrecking everyone. Definitely liked it. Definitely did a good job casting Jason Statham for this part. And finally, the tech bro admits to what he did. What are you gonna do, mommy? Tell the truth, son, because I'm a girl boss and I do what's right. Z-snap. And in the final hallway, the mysterious ethnicity assassin shows back up for a 1v1. Pretty good fight scene, nothing too special, but did I mention that he has a fake leg? Oh, you thought we were just gonna get a white assassin? Nope, he's white, but he's not able-bodied. I assume he's probably gay too. And at one point, he gets his fake leg knocked off and he has to hop around a bunch. Sorry to laugh, that was very ableist of me. And Adam finally takes some damage as he gets stabbed in the gut or arm or both. I'm not really sure. I thought it was his gut, but then he puts a belt around his arm. I'm like, wait, I thought you got stabbed. Whatever. At least he finally took some damage. What he's going up against, he needed to at least get winged or something. Finally, they did it. And the final line of defense is Wallace. Jeremy Irons being great, of course. And he tries to talk Adam out of it. What matters to you? Right and wrong. Then he breaks his fingers and pushes them to the side. Adam walks in and Tech Bro shoots the DEI director, hate crime style, I assume since he knew the truth. Just as the diversity duo come crashing into the room, Adam tells her, decide what you work for, the law or justice. So Derek, the Tech Bro, says, bye, Mom, and is about to take care of Madam President himself. So Adam, blam, shoots him and then jumps out of the window without being the Queen Slayer. Because of course, the girl boss is actually a good queen. Slay queen, yes! I mean, she got into office off dirty money stolen from nice old black ladies, but let's go ahead and she's fine. She's learned her lesson. I mean, Adam wasn't in the room for any of that lesson learning, but he magically knew she was one of the good ones. I mean, she's a girl boss. As he's running off, DEI officers staring out the window at him. He turns around, stares back. She just lets him go. Everyone chases after him. He walks down the beach, pulls something up out of the sand. It's scuba gear. He puts it on and he GTFOs. Roll credits. Dun, dun, dun. And that was The Beekeeper, which I knew had Jason Statham in it, so it was probably an action movie and probably had bees in it. Pretty good. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. And it's the only movie worth watching in January. But February's got 3 or 4, so. As far as movies that just get dumped in January, pretty good one. I enjoyed myself. Have you seen it? What do you think? Any interest in seeing it? Think I'm the absolute worst movie reviewer ever and I need to have my brain checked? Let me know down in the comments. And remember, if someone tells you to download the remote desktop so I take control for you, I'll help you out, don't trust them. Get access to exclusive videos and become a producer at my Subscribe Star. Links in the description.